Welcome back to PGA Updates Hub, where we break down the golf moments everyone is talking about before the rest of the internet catches up. Today's story blew up overnight, and it has nothing to do with who actually won the tournament. It's about Rory McIlroy and a heckler who picked the wrong week to go viral. Stick around because this one has way more layers than the clip everyone is sharing. It all happened at Shinnecock Hills during the US Open. Rory was already locked in a brutal fight against a golf course that refused to hand out anything for free. The rough was thick, the greens were unforgiving, and the New York crowd was exactly as loud and unfiltered as everyone expected. Then one fan decided the moment belonged to him instead of the golfer trying to win a major. Right. As Rory's tee shot left the club face, the heckler started screaming toward the tee box. "Bunker! Get in the bunker!" He didn't stop there either. He kept going even after the ball had already landed and shouted that he hoped Rory would live in that bunker for the rest of the day. It was loud enough for the cameras nearby to pick up clean audio. For a second, it looked like Rory would just shrug it off the way most professionals are trained to do. He didn't shrug it off. Rory turned around and stared the man down for a long beat. Then, without saying a single word, he lifted both hands and traced a big circle out in front of his own stomach. There was no confusion about what that meant. He was mocking the heckler's weight in front of an entire gallery. The reaction was instant. Some fans gasped. Most fans burst out laughing. And as Rory walked off the tee box toward his cart, the crowd actually started cheering him on. Within the hour, that clip was everywhere. TikTok had it. Instagram had it. X turned into a battlefield of hot takes within minutes. Golf forums that usually move slowly were suddenly packed with arguments. A huge chunk of fans called it one of the funniest and most deserved comebacks they had seen from a pro golfer in years. A smaller group pushed back and said, athletes should never engage with hecklers, no matter how disrespectful the comment was. That exact disagreement is why this story refused to disappear. Here's the part a lot of casual fans are missing, though. This was not some random one-time blow-up for Rory. His relationship with rowdy crowds in this part of the country goes back further than most people realize. Last year, during the Ryder Cup at Bethpage Black, the European team walked into one of the most hostile environments American golf has produced in recent memory. At one especially tense moment, Rory had enough of the noise interrupting his routine and flatly told the gallery he was not going to putt until they settled down. That memory stuck with golf fans long after the matches ended. So when Rory returned to New York for the US Open, the question on everyone's mind was simple. Would the crowd start up again? It actually gets even more interesting when you go back just one more major. At last month's PGA Championship at ERUPTS, Rory was dealing with a different kind of disruption. A spectator kept needling him through the back nine while he was still fighting for position on the leaderboard. Eventually, Rory had enough and pointed his club straight toward security, asking them to step in and remove the man from the area. That moment alone dominated golf headlines for days. So by the time the US Open rolled around, this was already the third straight major where Rory found himself dealing with unruly fans instead of simply being left alone to play golf. Now let's talk about why this particular reaction hit so differently for so many people. Rory was not cruising through Shinnecock Hills by any stretch. He opened the championship with a strong round and briefly looked like a real threat near the top of the leaderboard. Then the course started fighting back hard. Bogeys started piling up. Scoring opportunities disappeared. Momentum slipped away a little more with every hole. After his round, Rory was honest about how the week actually went. He admitted the course won the battle against him and explained that he basically shot himself out of contention during a rough Saturday before spending Sunday trying to chase a finish that was already slipping out of reach. Think about that for a second. Imagine grinding through one of the toughest setups in major championship history while a stranger is screaming personal insults at you on tee after tee. Even the most composed superstar in the world eventually hits a breaking point. For Rory, that breaking point came in the form of one quiet hand gesture instead of a shouting match. What's genuinely fascinating is how lopsided the public reaction turned out to be afterward. Most fans did not turn on Rory at all. They turned on the heckler instead. Comment sections across every platform filled up fast with people defending the golfer. Plenty of fans argued that anyone who screams personal insults at a professional athlete from 10 yards away deserves whatever response comes back at them. Others pointed out that golf has always prided itself on being one of the few sports where competitors don't have to deal with constant verbal abuse from the stands. A growing number of fans are now openly asking tournaments to crack down harder on crowd behavior before something far worse happens out there. And here's something most coverage of this story completely glossed over. Rory was not even the only player dealing with rowdy fans that week at Shinnecock. The eventual champion absorbed an enormous amount of heckling from the New York gallery during his own final round push for the trophy. Fans screamed for his ball to find trouble off the tee. Cheers broke out whenever an approach shot missed the green. It was relentless from the first hole to the last. Somehow the champion blocked all of it out and walked away with the trophy anyway. But it tells you everything you need to know about just how charged the atmosphere was all week long at this US Open. It also matters who was actually defending Rory once the clip started spreading. This wasn't just casual fans piling on for fun. Plenty of well-known voices inside the golf media world jumped in too. Several pointed out that spectators who scream at a player mid-swing are trying to manufacture their own viral moment and have no right to complain once the athlete fires back harder than expected. One commentator who covers the tour closely argued that fans heard the full story behind the scenes and that the heckler in question had reportedly been running his mouth at Rory for several holes before that final reaction finally happened. Once that context spread, the conversation shifted even further away from criticizing Rory and toward criticizing tournament security for letting things escalate that far in the first place. There's also a financial angle nobody likes talking about, but it's real. Majors like this one are drawing record-breaking crowds and record-breaking prize money every single year. More people in the gallery means more phones recording every reaction. More attention on a tournament means more incentive for a random spectator to try and create a moment for themselves, even if it costs the player their focus during a crucial round. Golf is no longer just a quiet sport played in front of polite applause. It's becoming closer to other major sports where crowd noise and confrontation are part of the entertainment, whether players want that or not. This entire situation says a lot about where professional golf is heading right now. Crowds keep getting bigger and louder every single year. Phones are recording from every possible angle at all times. One quick reaction from a frustrated player can become a bigger headline than the actual leaderboard. Every shot gets filmed, every reaction gets uploaded within minutes of happening. That's exactly what played out here. One heckler wanted his own viral moment, and instead he created a firestorm that completely overshadowed his own behavior, while making the golfer look like the clear winner of the exchange. So where does this leave the bigger debate that keeps resurfacing every few months? Should players be expected to ignore hecklers no matter what gets shouted at them during a competitive round? Or is it completely fair for a golfer to fire back the moment a fan crosses the line? Golf has spent decades building a reputation for being more respectful than almost any other major sport. But as prize money grows and galleries get rowdier, that reputation keeps getting tested in ways nobody saw coming a few years ago. As for Rory, the disappointing finish at Shinnecock does not change the bigger picture of his season. He remains one of the most dangerous players in the world heading into the back half of the year. A rough week in New York is not going to define how the rest of his season plays out, especially with another major championship still ahead this summer. If history has taught golf fans anything over the last decade, it's that betting against Rory long-term is almost always a mistake. He has bounced back from rougher stretches than this one before, and there is no reason to think this time will be any different once he gets a few weeks away from major championship pressure. And don't be surprised if this exact heckler clip ends up following Rory around for the rest of the year. Every time he tees off at a big event from now on, there will be at least a handful of fans hoping to bait him into another reaction just to go viral themselves. That's the strange trade-off modern golfers are dealing with. The bigger the moment, the bigger the target painted on their back. Whether Rory chooses to ignore the next one or fire back again, the same way remains to be seen, but one thing feels certain. New York crowds will be watching closely the next time he steps foot back in this state. So here's the real question for today. Did Rory handle that heckler exactly the right way, or should he have just walked off without reacting at all? Drop your take in the comments below because this debate is not slowing down anytime soon, and we want to hear where you stand. If you enjoyed breaking this down with us, make sure you are subscribed to PGA Updates Hub, because we cover moments like this before most of the golf world even catches on. Hit that like button if you want more stories like this one, and we will see you in the next video.